We tend to forget that the Declaration of Independence was not signed on July 4th. Most of the 56 signatures came weeks later on August 2nd, and every man who put pen to paper knew that they were committing high treason against the British Crown, a crime punishable by death. Welcome to America 250, the series unpacking the 25 pivotal events that built the United States, right in time for our nation's 250th birthday celebrations in 2026. I'm Peter Zablocki, the host of the History Shorts podcast. If you already listen to my daily show or you catch my YouTube shorts, you know that I like to tackle well-known historical events, but through different perspectives and different anecdotes. This isn't one of those secret history shows, because if you look hard enough on the internet, you can find most of this stuff out there. So instead, it's more like, hey, let's look at some old history with fresh eyes and see how we feel about it all today. To understand what America became, we jump ahead from the Pilgrims' pragmatic self-rule to the moment that the colonies formally declared themselves free and independent, and staked everything on that. So let's head to Philadelphia in 1776. By early 1776, the American colonies are in open rebellion. Battles at Lexington conquered Bunker Hill. Boston's under siege, and King George III declares the colonists traitors. Thomas Paine's Common Sense sells 500,000 copies, arguing for full independence, not just tax relief. July 7th, Richard Henry Lee of Virginia introduces a resolution in the Second Continental Congress that these united colonies are and right ought to be free and independent states. Debate rages, but they appoint a committee of 5 to draft the document. Thomas Jefferson, John Adams, Benjamin Franklin, Roger Sherman, and Robert Livingston. Jefferson, 33 years old, works in a rented room on Market Street. In about 17 days, he produces a draft blending Enlightenment ideas of Locke, Montesquieu, and others with colonial grievances. Franklin and Adams edit lightly. Franklin changes, "We hold these truths to be sacred and undeniable," to the now known self-evident. July 2nd, 1776, Congress votes for independence. 12 colonies yes. New York abstains but then joins later. Then July 4th, the final text is adopted, with some tweaks. John Hancock signs the engrossed parchment first, famously large enough so King George could read it without spectacles. But here's the detail. Only Hancock and Secretary Charles Thomson sign on July 4th. The famous signing ceremony happens August 2nd, when most delegates add their own names. Some sign even later. The document lists 27 grievances against King George: imposing taxes without consent, dissolving legislatures, quartering troops, inciting domestic insurrections. It ends with the pledge. "We mutually pledge to each other our lives and fortunes and our sacred honor." Jefferson's opening rings through history. "We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, governments are instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed." These words were revolutionary, but written by a man who owned over 600 slaves, including his own children. The Declaration says nothing about ending slavery. Jefferson's original draft had a passage blaming King George for the slave trade, but then Southern delegates made him cut it out. Women, Native Americans, and the enslaved are excluded from the all men. Many will argue that it is all aspirational rhetoric, and one that would take centuries to extend to everyone. Signing it was pure treason, though. British policy treated rebels as criminals. 5 signers were captured and tortured. 9 died from war wounds or hardship, and several lost homes and fortunes. The document gave the revolution a moral force and compass. Printed copies spread across colonies in Europe. It inspired France's Declaration of Rights of Man, Latin American independence movements, and later American fights for abolition, women's suffrage, or civil rights. So was this a hypocritical betrayal of its own ideals, or the bold seed of a more perfect union? Both. Without this radical break, the United States as we know it doesn't exist. No constitution, no we the people, and no global symbol of self-government. And that's just about it for episode 4. If the reality behind July 4th, or the gap between all men are created equal and the men who wrote those words, made you rethink the birth of America, then hit that like button and that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the now 21 defining moments of the United States, one for every decade of America's 250-year-long story. Thanks for watching America 250. Drop a comment. Heroic founding or flawed from the start? And what events do you hope to see on this list going forward? Let's keep the conversation going. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.